Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Humberto Bardales, and welcome to Mind Honey Buns. The name of the channel is Mind Honey Buns because we need to be feeding our minds regularly, and that's what we're going to be doing here on our channel. Today, I want to talk about the topic of God. Now, in this video, we will be talking about a specific God. So, instead of the word God, I'll use the word Theos, which is Greek for God, showing that we are not biased here. We will keep it neutral, and we will be talking about the philosophy of religion solely. Now, why is the conversation of God so important? Because there's been the ongoing battle whether the fight that we're fighting is with our brain or something beyond that, which would be our mind. And proving that would be so amazing because then we could know that there's more than just the body, or we could just find out that no, we're just a sack of meat. Why are these questions so important? Because they determine what we are and why we're here. If, for example, we didn't have a mind, then we just having a brain. We'd just be having a brain doing the work, and we're just moving through the motions as a sack of meat. However, there's very good reasons to believe why we have a mind that is more than just a sack of meat in our head. So, in the history of philosophy, before the pre-Socratic philosophers were thinking about this already. So this has been going on for ages. Ages. The question of, is there a theos? Is there a God? And why is this question so important? Why is God needed to be there in the picture? Because in the mortality of humans, in the mortality of this world, can we really assume that there wasn't an original creator of a sense? An original being that was outside of time, that's outside of everything, that can create or make the universe that we perceive? Well, it's not really far-fetched. If you think about it, if you try to tell me the origin of computers without involving man, how are you going to prove that computers came about? See, that's a very interesting question to think about, because the question of theos, are you there, gives us so much insight on our existence and why we're here. Because if we find out if there is a theos or if there's not, that means everything for us. Which is why religion has been popping up here and there and here and there. And I'm not going to be biased here. I'm going to say it like it is. Religion has been popping out because people want answers. And people get into these debates on whether God is real or God is not because there's the fear of not knowing what's going to happen after this life is here. And there's the fear of knowing, I don't know why I'm here. And there's the fear of, why am I doing this, or why am I thinking like this when I didn't ask for it? See, these are interesting questions to think about. Let's think about them whenever we try to consider, is there a God? And I want to make this video sort of an introduction video because I want to touch in on many different philosophers, on individual videos, on what they talked about, on what their standard of proof is for theos. If there is a theos or if there's not. And there's going to be many philosophers that I'm going to be talking about. First, I'm going to be talking about Thales, which is one of the first recorded philosophers ever. He did a lot of theology. Okay, before we continue, I want to separate theology and philosophy of religion. Theology involves the study of a religion and the study of, is there a God, using the works of that religion. The philosophy of religion, though, the philosophy of religion means that we try to study, is there a God or not, using the resources that we have, not just scripture or a holy book. And we're not biased here. We are not excluding any religion in philosophy of religion. It is different from theology in the sense that we don't use the holy books that religions use. So, it basically the question of does God exist boils down to our standard of proof. What is your standard of proof? Do you need God to come down? And remember, we're not being biased here. This can be any God. We don't know. Do you need Theos to come down and say, here I am? Or will you find more proof in what we have here in this universe? Because if we ask this question, is there a God? First we need to know, is our God loving? And is our God good and just? And when we ask those questions, we have to take into account there is a loving God and there is a true God if he reveals himself to us. And that big if is the thing that separates the standard of proof within people. That big if he reveals himself to us, what is that if? What if are you looking for? And in the history of philosophy of religion, we've had many philosophers talk about their standard of proof and why the existence of God is a reasonable thing. The existence of Theos, my bad. So when we ask these questions, we need to take into account what is our standard of proof. And would anyone else agree to our standard of proof? Because we need to think about that. If we don't make our standard of proof, a standard of proof that anyone can understand and anyone can agree on, then it's just an opinion. It's not really proof. And that's the beauty of philosophy of religion. And this is a little topic I want to start. And this is going to be, the ball's going to start rolling. I'm going to start making videos about individual philosophers and what their thought is on God. And we're just going to have a whole bunch of videos talking about, is there God? And you guys are going to join me in this question. I've studied many philosophers who have said, this is God, and this is God, and this is God. And it just ranges on so many other things. And we're going to even include pre-Socratic philosophers, post-Socratic philosophers, people who focus mainly on a certain faith, or people who are just looking for an existence of a Theos. And we won't discriminate either. We won't use any holy books, quote unquote, from any religions because we don't want to be biased. We do not want to use our biased works, I guess is a good way of putting it, when trying to find the existence of God. Because, like we said, if you use computers and look inside computers to find the origin of computers without using man, how can you find the origin of computers? See, that question doesn't apply just for our existence, it applies for many other things. And this question about, is there a God, matters so much for our thought process. Because, like I said earlier, it means everything if there is one. And it means nothing if there isn't one. This question should not be overlooked if you already believe that you have the answer. Because something a philosopher once said, I don't remember the name of the philosopher right now, is that he was a Christian philosopher, and he said that in his faith, he had to make the decision every day. It's not I make this decision and this is what I go along with. It's I make this decision to follow this faith every day. And we tackle the thoughts, is there a God or not, every day. And there are many other philosophers who said that that's bad for our mind and bad for whatever. But if you are into this stuff, you can tune in. And we'll be talking about this stuff because I think about this stuff daily. And like I said, I'll keep my personal bias out of the conversation because I have a bias myself. I have an opinion myself. We're going to try to keep it out, but we're going to see if we can find an existence of any Theos. in this universe? What is our standard of proof? Let's ask ourselves, what is your standard of proof? What do you want to consider as reasonable proof that there is a theos or there isn't? Hope you can guys have enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe down there. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and comment of any philosophers that you want me to go over. Chances are that I might be covering them already, but there's some philosophers that I haven't read on, I haven't really touched on. If you really want to suggest one, put it in the comment section, hit me up on social media, or you can email them to me down in the description below. Thank you.